Day 9, day the number 387, and because I like people on the archives, I have a Tribes Ascend beta key, and you can only get it with a freeze frame now. How incredible is that? Let me actually just put that in the used key side of the desk. Oh god, that was so awesome. Oh, chat, oh, bring it back. I'm not bringing it back. That's for the archived viewers, or for someone with a lot of lag. Bam. Oh, what a wonderful way to begin the day. Today is Tuesday, but we are, however, not going to be doing a Newbie Tuesday. We're actually going to be a standard, typical, regular Zerg versus Zerg with LiquidZenio. So that way tomorrow we can do LiquidZenio Zerg versus Protoss, and Thursday we can re-examine Mech against Protoss and see whether any Terran buddies have any sort of enlightening games, and just sort of examine that topic that was brought up in State of the Game. Of course, after today's daily is going to be the last State of the Game of the year, and the agreement that has been thusly planted is that if 40,000 plus people are concurrently viewing, there will be a 2v2 where me and my casting ally, Artosis, will go up against the Protoss players, e.g. In Control and Liquid Tyler. And because we're far better, you'll see us win in the easy 2-0. Tease, 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 tempt, tempt, tempt. Now, it's currently 7:07. I've been doing this for about 100 seconds right now. I also wanted to throw out there that there are two goals for today's daily. One is going to be that we review this game, just kind of standardly look at a Zerg vs. Zerg from Zenio's point of view. In particular, Zenio's going to be falling behind at the start of this game, and we're going to look at a way in which he comes back, because in Zerg vs. Zerg it feels very inverted pendulum-like, where if you get a little bit of a disadvantage, whomp, you're doomed. So that's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing is I am trying to compact the segments of the daily down. Instead of doing 3 22 to 25 minute segments, I'm going to try to do 3 that are right at 15 minutes. Right at 15 to 17 minutes. Because I think I've just been talking too much. I'm trying, it's a test for me to try to be more concise and precise while still maintaining my usual Day 9 exuberance and dynamism. So, of course, if you have any feedback on said stuff, please send it to feedback@day9.tv. If you like it a little bit shorter, if you like it a little bit longer and more elaborate. Let's pop into the game. Boom, boom, boom. If you're interested in Fun Day Monday, wait till after the show for the announcement of what's up. So we have LiquidZenio spawning up here in that top right. Good, good, good. And we have a Zerg vs. Zerg on Shakuras Plateau. He's going to be sending the scout into the left position, and we're just going to let him build up to around 9 drones, and it's a time like this where I always want to stop and ask you, what is your plan? Such an important concept that even with my attempts to compact, we must stop and talk about it. You should have a plan, an overarching thing you're going for. Let me throw this curveball at you. Whoa, whoa, getting very close to my camera there. So, you are not trying to find ways to win. You are trying to find ways to get more and more of an advantage. And you're just waiting for him to leave. I want you to think in that terms. Because people who think things like, how do I win? They're the people who will be doing 2 base, 8 gate all-ins. People who think, how do I get an advantage, will say, here's a cool way I can harass so I can get another expansion up. I want you to be in this category that's now right here. So when we look at this map, a reasonable plan might be something like, I want to secure the right half of the map with Roach and Fester, and then I want to start doing drops up here and in his main, and that's how I'm going to break him down. Or I want to get these 4 bases on the right side of the map, and then I want to get Broodlords, and I want to try to creep into these center 4 bases. I want to take these 2, and I want to try to eliminate these 2 on his side, and then that way I win the 6 base versus 4 base war of attrition. I want you to just have something you're going for. I don't want you to just wind up with a bunch of roaches and infestors and be like, derpty, derpty, doo. Maybe I can win right now. No, I want that to be a clear plan of yours. Is your plan to hit maxed roach, infestor, and then attack? Is your plan to just secure these 3 bases and try to deny him from taking this 3rd? Have those sorts of plans enumerated for yourself. And of course, you can have early game plans. Now, in my old daily style, I would stop and talk about that, but you know what? Screw that shit. I only have like 8 minutes left on this segment. Whew! Better speed it up. Speeding it up. So I want you to just look right now at the fact that he is going gas pool. Now, of course, you will say, oh, Zergling speed. Yeah, it helps him get Zerglings and can do damage. I don't want you to say what the opening is. I want you to say why he's doing it. In other words, what is the goal of him doing this kind of thing? Just as we described an overall goal for the game, which would be something like take these 4 bases and then harass him with drops. In this, I'm going to describe Zenio's goal as getting up this first expansion. That is his goal. And your early game goals should be succinct. They should be like a sentence. I want to harass him with Banshees until I get my expansion up. I want to early expand and transition to 2 Stargate Phoenix and not die to any harassment. So we already have the established goal of I want to get up an expansion. Now, while this is all going on, let's think about what some things that are possible threats at this point in time. He could be going for a big Baneling bust, a huge amount of Banelings. That's why we are already gearing up to push back with our very fast Zergling speed. He could be early expanding himself, another reason why we're moving out with all these Zerglings. Now, interesting thing to already note, look at the Overlord position. Boom, 1 right in the middle. Deflam, 1 outside the front of our base. Shazaboosh, 1 outside of his. This Overlord's probably going to die. But suddenly notice, if we state our goal in the early game is to secure this expansion. Suddenly we're not going to be attacking. We're not going to try to do all these weird, crazy kill sequences. We're not going to do something like, ooh, I think I have an opportunity. Maybe if I just rally Zerglings to his base. F that shh. It's a PG daily today. Screw that sort of aggression. We're thinking about staying alive. That's what these Overlord placements are all about. Little things. Queen getting ready to, looks like, embark upon her incredible journey to the bottom side. So, all right, cool. Bam. Essential moment in the game. Not, we saw an expansion. Be more general. We saw information that is going to allow us to cross stuff off. Is he going for Baneling all in? No, because he took an expansion. Is he going for a 1-base Roach play? No, because he has an expansion. Is he going for an expansion? I mean, yes, because we see it. He, of course, do not cross off early Zergling pressure. Do not cross off some sort of delayed style of Baneling Roach pushing. So meanwhile, back home, we're putting guys back in gas. There are a number of choices we could do. We could do a Roach play. We could do a Baneling play. And let's just leave it at those 2. So guys, I posit you the following. Now that you have this information, anytime you're at a point where you have information, go back to your replay and reflect on what the hell you should do. What the hell should he be doing right now? How do Roaches feel to us? How do Roaches feel? How does Zerglings feel to us? We're almost certainly not up against very fast Roaches ourselves. We're probably going to be up against either him powering really hard or huge numbers of Zerglings. So, we're going to see Zenio make a choice that makes a lot of sense. He's making a good amount of Zerglings because, for one, what's one of the 2 possibilities we just said? A lot of Zerglings coming to kill us, or he could be building a lot of drones and doing some sort of long-term play in that regard. So we're just going to go ahead and start by throwing a whole bunch of Zerglings at him right at the start. We have 12 Zerglings that just popped out. This is another way of saying when our first inject popped off, we ended up just expending it on a whole slew of lings. Doing these sorts of run-around-a-roos is fine. But we spent our first surge of larvae on this huge number of Zerglings. And now we're just going to go straight into defense mode. You see drones getting built? This is one of these brilliances of Zerg versus Zerg that can be very hard to perceive if we're going too quickly through a game. Or if you're playing, you're like, I don't know what to do. This is so smart. Notice, drilling with Zerglings when he has the edge of metabolic boost. I will hit you with lings when you do not have speed. Therefore, I will be in good shape. And and he doesn't commit to this. He just does it and immediately begins going for drones and Banelings. Fantastic decision right here. Moving on in, killing stuff off, isolating some Zerglings. I think he probably could have just drilled the front and done a little bit more damage. I think any play like this, where you end up doing this degree of pain to your opponent, is going to end up being pretty decent. Now, of course, as we come back to the unit counting station, we are going to see our Zerg buddy Zenio slowly start to pull a little bit ahead in terms of that worker count. Largely thanks to that queen that got killed off, but also because we sort of pre-prepped. We have our spine crawler going down. Bases are joined together by creep. So that way we can get these queens at the front. Also seeing how this creep tumor is sort of a deliberate part of this delayed defense. Not actually having that many banelings, or excuse me, that many zerglings preemptively constructed. We got these 2 queens in the creep join, so that way we can easily defend. So now all of a sudden Zenio is in a pretty good spot, but I did want to come back to this one moment right now where everything we've said logically seems to make sense, right? Everything we've said thus far has been, oh yeah, we're going to hit the Zergling speed timing push to deal damage to him. We're going to get the Banelings up to defend. We have the 2 queens there. That makes sense. However, still notice, shabow, we are behind in food. In the unit station. Wow, we are behind in drones. We're behind in everything. Jesus, he even has an Overlord lead. How depressing. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to rewind back in time and re-examine. There was a key points analysis that we did last week with Liquid Hero, where we said anytime there is a big interaction, let's go back and make sure, did something before go wrong? Did something after go wrong? Or did something during go wrong? We want to look at when that interaction began, which was when the Zerglings ended up swinging into the front for Zenio. At this point in time, we see that there's really almost no Zerglings out for next Naya. He does have 10 more coming. 10 plus 5 is still less than 17. So I really feel that at this point, we should have been engaging straight up at the front. Maybe running up here to try to pick off a Baneling, because this is a timing you can actually get away with picking off these sorts of Banelings, but I think it may have been some mistargeting here by Zenio, because at the beginning of this engagement, he was already quite a ways behind on drones. So notice all we did, really simple analysis. We went back, decided we didn't quite do enough damage. We looked at where we could have done damage, and we said, against an early expanding player, maybe I should be drilling the front a little harder. I do have to be a slight bit wary of Banelings. Sweeto, Bandito, Burrito, we're just going to hang out here in early game time for a little bit longer. And then we're just going to be progressing on to part number 2. Per expectation, not a lot of Zerglings getting built out of Zenio. He is going Spine Crawler, Baneling. This is going to allow him to defend against pretty much anything that's thrown at him. What if Roaches come? Roaches cannot come. We can cross that off because, for one, we wandered through his whole fucking base. Wow, that hatchery got really dark. Oh my god, what an emo hatchery. Yeah, for one, we wandered through his whole base and saw what was up. And also, at the start of the game, he can't both get a lot of Zerglings with speed and 2 queens and Banelings and have a whole bunch of Roaches ready to barrel down your front door. This is primarily a precaution that we have. Primarily a precaution. Ooh, we really got to make sure that we don't die to any of those early threats. An interesting decision is made right now, a decision I feel like not that many Zerg players make. Huge number of extractors go down for our good friend LiquidZenio. Very early, 8 minutes. Big number of scary trades and aggression. I mean, hell, if we just come to this tab, is that, no, it's R, there we go. Already been a good amount of stuff killed, not that many workers killed, but a lot of unit trading, and then to suddenly, after all that unit trading, say, oh, I better get geysers. This seems a little bit surprising, but this is actually setting the seeds for how Zenio is going to be able to deal with the fact that he's a little bit behind. And again, it doesn't look like he's that much behind, but it's because of the off-staggering of these larva injects. We actually can see that Zenio just started his inject. See right there, see that little gray bar, or hell, that little bar at the bottom. This one's almost done, but we also see that this other player just got a big larva pop off, just got this thing coming in, so. Next Naya, again, if we pop in there, ahead on drones, ahead in every way. Yeah, ahead in every single way. Cool. So how do we end up coming back? Now, here is an interesting decision. This is one of these conditional decisions where if you see it, you may not get it initially. You see the layer going down, and then you build the layer, and you die. Roaches come in and kill you. Zerglings run up your front door and kill you. Ugh. Well, we've already established a way to deal with the Zergling threat. We have Banelings sort of at this, sort of tapering off into the back of our base. We have these Spine Crawlers, which I think have some pretty bad positioning. I think keeping them a little bit closer to here is reasonable. Because, I mean, hell, it's not like we're going to control this ramp against Zerglings. Zerglings will just flow right up. I actually think this Spine Crawler could be backed up just a little bit. Up probably here. I think this Spine Crawler should be a little bit more like there. I think those are probably the two best, because we do want to have a little bit more coverage of our ramp. And, of course, if Banelings are rolling in, we have to worry about them working around this way. But if you plant one here, you can still have this Spine Crawler poking them the whole way, and then you can just run these drones over to this side and pick it off. A little bit longer than I would have liked, but you know what? These are fine. These help us deal with Banelings. These help us deal with Zerglings. But what about Roaches? He can't be going Roaches because we put that pressure on him at the start. We saw the shape that he was in. And since he cannot kill us with Roaches right now, we can easily get ourselves up a layer. And again, the big thing I want you to be aware of is the fact that these 3 geysers went down quite early. Very early geysers. These are going to give us some flexibility in the late game. Time to go into part number 2 right after this brief break. Day 9 in overdrive mode.